Isn't it fucking discouraging when you ask your kid, how was your day, and they just say, good? Here's an ultra easy fix without, and this is important, without having to change your personality or become more emotionally intelligent. This would be good, but it's hard for some of us and we need tricks. Okay, listen. Ask ridiculously specific questions. Who sat 2 seats in front of you in math today? Name a girl who spoke in class, but it wasn't to ask a question. Who made you laugh today that you don't sit with at lunch? These are easy, they're interesting, and they lead to stories. That's what you want. You don't want some wordy explication about the quality of their day. You want the dirt, the scuttlebutt. Today's question was, what's something that made you say a bad word in your mind? They didn't like that one. Mom and dad are the swearers around here. Anyway, if you're a loving parent but you're also kind of lazy, come along. Soon I'm going to talk about how awesome it is to leash your toddlers. My 10-year-old walked into the kitchen apropos of nothing and proclaimed, bullshit. I said, what? And he goes, I didn't say bullshit, I said bullshit. That's when I knew I had him. He was going to regret this. You think you removed T from the word bullshit, I said to him, but you didn't actually just remove it, you replaced it with a glottal stop. Do you know what a glottal stop is? I could see his eyes glazing over as he cast a sidelong glance at the door. A glottal stop is actually a consonant sound we have in our language that we don't have a letter for, but that we use all the time. The most common example is the middle of the word uh-oh. What's happening is that you're shutting your glottis, which is the opening of your vocal tract, and preventing airflow for a moment. And you did that when you changed the word bullshit to bullshit. Interesting, huh? He did not think it was interesting. At the same time, I wasn't done. Another example is the phrase right now. You think there's a T in it, but there's not. It's a glottal stop. Nobody says right now. You say right now. It's like the word right is being interrupted. Okay, at this point, he was like a caged animal listening to me. All right, buddy, you can go. He scampers away. And that, my friends, is how I keep my kids from swearing very much around me. A few months ago, I offhandedly told my kids about the sales manipulation tactic where you make a big ask knowing people will say no, so that then when you ask for what you really want, they'll feel more compelled to say yes to you. Robert Cialdini gives a good example of this in his book, Influence. I'll butcher the details because I'm telling it from memory, but the point will be the same. He talks about a Boy Scout that came up to him and asked if he would go to a fundraising dinner. Cialdini said no, because who wants to go to a fundraising dinner? So then the Boy Scout says, all right then, how about buying some of my candy bars for $1? And Cialdini says yes, because all of a sudden it seems more reasonable than it would have before. He doesn't even like candy bars, he says. So now he's ended up with candy he doesn't want and the sinking feeling in his gut of having gotten suckered. That Boy Scout pulled one over on him. It's a clever sales kid. Basically, it's the manipulator taking what they originally wanted and turning it into what feels like a compromise to the person being manipulated. Watch out for that shit. But here's the thing. I, of course, don't think constantly about how I taught my kids this, and every once in a while they'll ask me something like,
hey Dad, can we go to Paris this summer?
And I will, of course, answer with some version of, no. At which point they will inevitably say,
oh look, there's McDonald's, let's get some fries.
3 things I've learned from my kids. 1, patience. Yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. 2, behaviors that present as rebellion aren't hate, they're stress and pain. 3, cats keep their eyeballs clean and lubricated with a third, almost invisible eyelid called a nictitating membrane, and it blinks diagonally. My son's standing outside a sporting goods store the other day with his friends. They're holding their disc golf frisbees. I told him not supposed to call them frisbees. This guy comes up to him and is like, oh, you guys play disc golf? And they're like, yeah. And he says, here. So they throw him one, and he starts playing catch with them, which, if I understand correctly, is not what you're supposed to do with disc golf discs. And they're like, do you play disc golf? He's like, yeah. And they look at each other, kind of like, because he was throwing real weird. When my son told me the story he demonstrated, it was weird. They have it in their minds at this point, this guy doesn't play disc golf. What the hell is he talking to us for? He was a Marine recruiter. The fuck, dude? I have a sort of limited, guarded support. I was gonna say for the military, but for the concept of military. But fuck, man. Back away. This is not an anti-military video. It's an anti-creepy fuckers coming up to children in a parking lot and trying to seem cool so that you can convince them to donate their lives to an organization that is apparently failing so badly that this even needs to be a tactic.
What would you think if one of your kids started going to church?
How do you know they don't? I'm not my kids. My family isn't me. They can go to church if they want to. I don't go to church for personal reasons. And my kids don't have the same life as me that would create personal reasons like I have to not go to church. So if they're going to go or not go, it's going to be from their own experience and their own motivation. Obviously, I don't believe in indoctrinating children, but at the same time, that's a really sticky, difficult question because you do have to teach them, and you're not going to teach them every option for everything. So indoctrination sort of comes down to a matter of opinion. And it gets complicated. But I know what you actually mean by your question, and the answer is that would suck.